what is real success and what is fake success, and what does it really mean to be a successful human. So I'm going to play a video for us in a moment, and as it's playing, I would like you to think of your definition of success. What is your definition of success in your life? And we're going to watch a video of, I think, 70 guys telling us their definition of success.
How do you define success?
I don't know. Make money when you accomplish something. Scoring in a soccer game. To achieve your dreams.
Like when somebody's smiling about you about something that you've done, like that you've proven wrong.
Teaching, having a nice class.
When you accomplish your goal and like you did something that you really wanted to do.
Completing a goal. Being proud of yourself and like knowing what you've accomplished.
A happy person.
Happiness.
Being happy.
Being happy with the right people.
Being happy in life.
The person who's willing to get up and do what they need to get where they want to be in the future.
Success is personal.
To each his own.
Fulfillment and feeling like you're contributing to a meaning.
Just being contented in what you want, what you have a certain goal, reach it.
Doing what you love and not, compromising who you are.
Ooh, a lot of money, a lot of love.
To be successful, I think you have to be happy. And then you have to be independent.
Being content with myself.
Happiness.
Fulfillment.
Looking back on your life and being proud of it.
Loving the person I see in the mirror every day.
Being a role model to my cousins and being self-sufficient enough to where I can take care of myself and my family as well.
If everyone in my circle is successful, happy.
Just feeling like yourself and feeling content.
Being at peace of where you're at in life.
Enjoying your time.
Doing what you love and not letting negative people make you quit.
Waking up in the morning and doing what you want to do when you want to do it with the people that you want to do it with.
Success is a sense of achievement.
It's to reach what you want or what you want to be.
Health for sure, and then happiness.
Opportunity, meeting, preparation. You can have excuses or success, but you can't have both.
Being able to freely do whatever it is that you want to do.
Doing something that makes a positive impact on the world and also doesn't compromise your belief system.
To never have to worry about living again.
Acquire things you need at a timely fashion.
Success is making a difference in the world around you, even if it's a small way.
Peace, having peace.
Understanding what it is that an individual's passions are and then pursuing those passions to the best of your ability.
A mark that you leave behind, a positive one, to find out what you are good at.
I think the individual finds success knowing that you accomplished what you wanted to do.
It's just being honest, loyal,
being happy. That's success.
Being financially secure and healthy.
Having an internal peace, having met the goals that you set for yourself.
A happy contentment.
Just being happy with yourself.
I think a person is successful if they learn how to love themselves.
My success is seeing my children happy.
Trying your best.
Being able to help others and being able to make a positive difference for others.
Being happy.
Waking up with a smile every day.
My motto is if I believe, then I can achieve.
Being happy and helpful.
Finding work that makes you happy.
I think success is when you're happy.
Being happy in your job.
Great family. Accomplishing a mission and completing it properly.
An accomplishment every day.
Well, I'm a pianist, and getting through a composition without making a mistake, that is success to me. And I'll take the money afterwards too.
Having friends and just enjoy life.
Interesting, eh? Well, I hope that helped you. Think of, your, thank you. Oh, what a guy. Thank you. helped you think of what your kind of measure of success is. And I think many of us, when we think of what our success is, I think most, lots of people would say, not these guys, obviously, but happiness, but I think family probably is something that comes up a lot for people. The dictionary tells us the definition of success is to accomplish, the accomplishment of an aim or purpose, and so that's kind of nebulous, that's kind of boring, because when you think of your definition of success, I'm sure it has to do somewhat with happiness, somewhat to do with maybe your family or the things that might impact it. Maybe it has to do with what God created you to be, and like those kind of measures of success. But the truth is, like these guys, if we're honest, our measures of success are difficult to gauge because we are like swimming in a world that measures of success are, if we're honest, more things like the little kids were calling out there. Money, I want to have money, I want to have nice stuff. If we're honest, in our day and age, the general measures of success are if you have, lots of cash, if you have lots of nice stuff, luxury lifestyles, great experiences, if you have, some sort of, we've got them up on the screen there, if you have wonderful relationships, or not even wonderful relationships actually, but sometimes people measure success by the relationships, like married people are meant to their single friends. It's kind of a fact. Sometimes it's hard for people to be single because they feel like everyone's judging them. Sometimes we don't consider success to be a happy marriage. We just consider success to be just not alone, right? Yeah. We don't consider a healthy, good family to be the measure of success. Sometimes we just consider it to be, I just need to have a kid. The measure of success is kind of messed up if you think about it. Luxury lifestyle, we know from Instagram that if you appear to have a cool life, then that's how we measure success in this day and age, if we're honest. If we get people to admire you, that's another measure of success. And that can be by doing something special. Like I think it's amazing that some people run ultra marathons. Like that's wild that people can run for 24 hours, just hundreds and hundreds of miles. Like that's amazing, isn't it? So sometimes if you can do something special, you might have a messed up life. But if you can do something that makes you special, you're kind of successful. That's fair, right? And the hard thing about this is then it's actually really hard to figure out what success is. Because what if you are an ultra athlete that can, win all the ultra athlete stuff in the world? That's amazing. We don't know how hard it is to do that stuff. It's amazing. But then what if your family life is a shambles? Or actually, because you are such a great athlete, your health is in a shambles. Like, how do you really quantify success, guys? It's tough. It's hard for us to do, and so we just kind of go with the status quo, which is, whatever your background, your culture, your time in history tells you is cool, For me, it's like great shoes and nice food. But for you, it might be something different. There is a golden path in life, I'm told, which most people consider success, and that is if you raise kids that go to nice schools, go to college or university, they get married in the right age, they have children at the right age, they participate in their community in the right way that doesn't affect their career, because their career is really important because they need to make the right amount of money, and then they need to buy their own home, and then they need to go about, it's called the golden path. And actually, without us realizing it, it's kind of an underlying judgment in society right now that if you don't have a career by this age, what are you up to? All of these things. It's interesting though, because what psychologists tell us about this idea of success is it's important to us as humans because it's really attached to our self-esteem. Like whatever you think success is, you need to feel like you're a success, because somehow it's got this weird entanglement with your self-esteem and your identity. So basically, your measure of success says a lot and has a lot to do with how you feel about yourself and how you see yourself and what you believe about yourself in your very core, You know, the deepest, darkest, the stuff you just don't really want to talk about sometimes with most people. What you think about yourself, how you see yourself, what you believe about yourself has a lot to do with your success. So basically, success is important for humans because it has to do with our idea of worth. Success impacts how we feel about our own self-worth. So it's kind of important, but then it's so nebulous that it's hard to, and also it brings divisions amongst us too, don't you think? Because you know the Kiwi contingent is looking, is getting family is everything. Move to Australia and family is not everything all the time. In Australia, your career is actually more important sometimes than your family in different countries, right? There's all these conflicting things happening that make it so hard to be successful, which has an impact on our self-worth. Moreover, actually, I think this is funny, I've got to tell you. The writer of Lamentations talks about this and how just impossible it is to make anything mean anything. You guys would have read the great book of Lamentations. Don't read it when you're feeling sorry for yourself. Tell you that right now. The writer of Lamentations in Ecclesiastes 4:4, he says this, "And I saw that all toil and all achievement spring from one person's envy of another, and this too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind." Basically what he's saying is all of the work we do, all of the things that we try and do in life springs from this rivalry we have that we need to feel better than someone else. We need to think that we're better than someone else, and that's why he believes we work hard. That's why he believes we get out of bed in the morning. That's why we get stuff, because somehow we are in a rivalry with one another, and that's how we're getting our self-worth. And that, he believes, is just a chasing of the wind. What a great phrase. It's all very hopeless, isn't it? Your success is tied to your self-worth. Moreover, your success is also tied to your status. And this is difficult as well, because status in different cultures, status in different societies just shifts. It shifts all the time. Your success is important because we are told, it comes from this basic human desire it's a fundamental human motive. People seek to receive respect and deference from others, and we think it has to do with us wanting to belong somewhere. Your success gives you a status, and if you know your status in a community, if you know your status in your family, if you know your status in your job, then you know where you fit. It has to do with belonging, right? So it's all very complicated, and some of it is good stuff. It's good to belong somewhere. It's good to have worth, to be able to believe in yourself. Some of it's attached to really important stuff, really good stuff, but somehow it gets twisted into some of this fakery, yeah? Tim Keller, in his book, something about idols. What's that book? It's a great book.
Counterfeit Gods.
Counterfeit Gods. Me? Yeah, gold stars. Good day. More than other idols, personal success and achievement leads to a sense that we ourselves are God. To be the very best at what you do, to be at the top of the heap, means no one is like you. You are supreme. He believes that there is something in us sometimes that sets us at rivalry with one another, that makes us try and one-up each other all the time, that makes us want to be special, wants us to be the top of the heap, because it's kind of that Adam and Eve apple thing where we want to be God. There's something attached to the success thing that is good, but there's some stuff attached to the success, the stuff that is not so good. And I think, thank goodness for Jesus, because he literally offers us another way. And in Matthew, you know it, it's a super famous verse. In Matthew, might put it up on the, thank you. Matthew 20, he says, you know that the lords of the Gentiles, the rulers of the Gentiles, lord it over them. And that their high officials exercise authority over them, but this is the greatest line in history, not so with you. Yes. What he's saying, the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, kind of this idea that he's got is the idea that whoever it is who's the ruler or the leader or the person with some greater status uses their status to keep others beneath them, to dominate, to make other people live in subjection. This idea that I'm up, I have to keep you down. That's the way, naturally, Jesus observes us living. That I want to be great, I want to be the best because I want to be better than you, but in order to be better than you, then I need to keep you down, I need to dominate. And he says this beautiful thing that I think is the greatest invitation to a different way of thinking about success that will ever be. He says, not so with you. Not so with you to me is kind of like an invitation to think about success from Jesus' point of view. But the thing about that is even that is a little bit difficult, you know. What I want us to talk about really briefly is this parable that I know you guys would have heard 1,000 times over, so I'm going to retell it. It's a parable from Matthew 25, but I'm going to retell it for you this morning because I just want you to think about this parable, the story that Jesus told in regards to your ideas of success, but also in regards to God's ideas of success. So he tells the story, right? He says that the kingdom of God, and for this moment, I'd like you to think of the kingdom of God very simply as what God is doing right now. So God is doing something right now in you. He's doing something right now in this room, and he's doing something right now across the globe. So what God is doing right now, a way of talking about that is the kingdom of God. So what God is doing right now, you can think about that by thinking about, there was this great titan of industry, great man, richest guy on the planet probably. He was just super duper guy. And he lived in New York, and in New York, he had all of these super duper empires going, like different businesses going. So, and he decided he was just going to disappear for a while, but he needed to keep his business empire growing and sustaining in his absence. So he calls in the guy who he wants to be the CEO of his banking empire. He's in New York, he's a banker, he's got things going on. He's stocks and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to say anymore because I don't really understand it. It's a banking empire. And he calls in the guy who he wants to hand this business off to, and he goes, hey, I'm going to Bali for a few years, I'm just going to disappear. But I need the business to thrive, and so I'm going to give it to you, and here it is. Make it better by the time I come back. Do what I would do. Just let it thrive. Make it great. And when I come back, I'll check up on you. So the guy is scared. Can you imagine the richest guy in New York giving you his banking empire and saying, look after it, watch out for it, but make sure that it grows in my absence, and I'll come back one day. Well, it'd be pretty scary, right, to get handed this whole empire. But that's what the guy does. He's like, thank you for the opportunity. I'll do my level best. So then the rich man, he calls in a guy who he wants to look after his real estate empire. He's got development companies and brokers. He's buying, he's selling, he's building land. It's New York. He's going to hand off the real estate empire to who he wants to be CEO of that empire. So he calls the bloke in. Can you look after this thing for me? I'm going to go away for a while. I need you to look after the business and double it or triple it or just make it great. And by the time I get back, we'll see how we're going. The guy, obviously, he's like, oh, I'm scared, but this is a great opportunity. Thank you. I'll do my best. So then he also has, as part of his business empire, he has a not-for-profit foundation. They're feeding kids in the low-income areas. They're doing programs in schools. They're trying to change the city. This is the good part of the business. So he calls this guy in, and who's going to be the CEO of the foundation, and he goes, hey, I'm going to take off for a while, but I need you to grow the foundation while I'm away. I want you to change the city while I'm away. I want it to be 1,000 times better when I get back than it is right now. Do what I do. And the guy's like, oh, wow, that's such a great opportunity. Thank you. I'll do my best. So the guy disappears for ages, so long, they stop expecting him back. He's gone. He's gone for ages. But then one day, he appears again. He comes home and he calls all of the CEOs who he's broken his empire up amongst to come and tell him how they've been doing. So first of all comes the banking guy, and he is excited to be able to tell his boss that in his boss's absence, he ran it like it was his own empire. And in fact, he doubled it. They have a bigger global reach. They have banks in more countries. They have more money in their banks. They have more, whatever people do in banks, they have more of those. Twice as much, in fact. Banking, money stuff, more of that going on. He doubled the business in his boss's absence, and the boss is stoked. He's stoked for him, he's stoked for him, he's stoked for everybody. So he says, here's your reward. Well done, let's keep doing what we're doing. He calls in the real estate guy, and the real estate guy is super happy for this meetup too, because he's like, boss, in the time that you're away, I have like double development. We've bought more houses, sold more houses. I've doubled everything that you do. I've got, companies started in other parts of the world now. I doubled what you were doing before in your absence. I doubled it. And the guy's like, well, this guy's awesome too. Well done. Here's your reward. Let's get at it. So then the foundation guy comes in. The foundation guy, the guy with, in my opinion, the coolest job. The boss goes to him, tell me what you were doing in my absence. And he goes, oh, well, to be honest, you're so impressive that I found it difficult to do anything in your absence. So I shut the foundation down until you could come back. Understandably, the boss is not impressed. He left this guy hoping that he would change the city, and the guy was too scared to even open the doors of the foundation in his absence. And it was years. He was scared for years. He did nothing for years in his boss's absence. And he's not impressed. And the kingdom of God is like that. And the parable of the talents is like that story, right? The interesting thing, if you think about that story, is there's a few components in that story. The first one is that when God gives us his kingdom, when God gives us what he is doing right now in this room, he breaks it up amongst all of us. There's a little part that fits exactly right for each one of us in this room and in this world. When he thinks about his kingdom, what he's doing right now, he gives each of us a role to play in that kingdom. But then, the kind of cool thing is then he just expects us to get to work. Work, unlike the writer of Ecclesiastes, doesn't have to be always about rivalry in Jesus' invitation somehow, because he expects us to work. There's a good thing about work. And also you would notice in the real story, in the parable of the talents, right? Someone gets 50, 20, like everyone gets a bit different. The real estate empire is maybe not as lucrative as the banking empire, and the foundation makes no money. It's a not-for-profit. Like everybody gets something that would, in our eyes, set them at a different status to someone else. But the fact is, when God looks at it through his eyes, all he's doing is breaking up his kingdom and entrusting it to the right person for that part of the kingdom. For what he's doing right now, he has a part for you to play that is different to someone sitting over here. But it's okay, because your status doesn't depend on that. Your status depends on your relationship with him and God's idea. So he's okay with work. He's okay with status, so long as our status is found in him and not in the work. And the last thing that I think is super interesting is that at the end of the day, if we assume Jesus was, telling the story, he expected people to be a success.
Yeah.
He comes back expecting us to have done what he said, which was to build what he wanted to build, do what he wanted to do, work for the kingdom. He comes back expecting us to succeed at what he asked us to do, which kind of means success is okay. Success is part of being human in a way, yeah? It's okay to work. It's good to work. God expects us to work. It's okay to have status, so long as it's the status we find in him and in his ways. And it's great to be successful. He expects us to be successful, so long as it's in the way that he's thinking about success. And here, I think, is where we get a little bit tied up. For thousands and thousands and thousands of years, we have been trying to figure out what exactly is the aim of being a human? What's the point of being a human? What's the purpose of being a human? Because if we could figure out what the purpose of being a human was, then we could know whether or not we were a success, right? So for thousands of years, we've come up with all these different ideas. So I just want to throw a little bit at you to just stimulate some thought this morning. Right, okay, so the first one is the easiest one. If success for you is in good food, thrilling experiences, great parties, good sex, and pleasure of all kinds, then that is the type of thinking that we have been thinking about for a long time. That is a way of life. If these kind of things, just pleasure, all the pleasures that make us feel good about ourselves, is actually how we define success. And don't knock success, because you can knock this when you see it written down on the screen. Yeah. But in reality, this is how most of us live all the time, because this is our society right now. This is the measures of success, if you're honest. Yeah. And it's hard for us as people who live in society. We're not supposed to not live in society. We're not supposed to go and live in weird communes anywhere, you know. We're supposed to be a part of the world, but be different to the world. So it's very important for us to realise that these measures of success, though appealing and though everywhere around us, are not the measures of success for a Christian. These are, in fact, the measures of success for someone who follows a practice called hedonism. So if those are our measures of success, we're a hedonist. Yeah? Good to know, I think. Good to be aware of when you're looking on everyone else's Instagrams, feeling sorry for yourself. Just remember to check your measures of success. The second one I'd like to draw our attention to is that if you think success is like those little kids on the video, is about money and kind of unlimited economic return, the fact that if you work hard, you're going to make money and you're going to have a better life for yourself. If you want the freedom to pursue your own self-interest in this big scheme of money, then you are, in fact, if that is the measure of success for you, then you are, in fact, not a Christian. You are a capitalist. Yeah. Not that money is bad. Not that any of those things are bad. But if that is the way you measure the success of your life, that is not a Christ measure of success. Yeah?
That's right.
Those are good things that are not the measure of our success. They're also not necessary for all of us, if you look at Mother Teresa and such people. So, we're not hedonists, we're not capitalists. Another one, if you want to take a look at, if your measure of success for you is being happy, so long as you don't harm anyone trying to acquire your happiness, and you let everybody else pursue their own happiness too. If your measure of success, like a lot of people on that video, was to be happy, and most of us want to be happy, then you are in fact not a Christian, you are a humanist. Isn't that interesting? The pursuit of happiness is impossible if you have read any of the research on how to be happy, but it's also not actually the measure of success that the Bible talks about. It's a bit of a fakery that we get sold so that we will get sidelined from the real measures of success. The next one I'd like to share with you, I hope I'm not breaking any hearts here. It gets better, don't worry, it gets a lot better. As if success for you is about abstaining from unhealthy desires in order to achieve inner peace. If you're like one of those peace chasers, you know, people that I just want to be at peace. Yeah. That's a good pursuit. Jesus is the Prince of Peace, right? But if this is your measure of success, if this is the purpose of our humanity, then you are in fact, again, not a Christian. You're an Epicurean. So here's another one that I think is pretty good as well. If your measure of success is to seek God, I need to get this wording right. Oh no, I got another one before I get to that one. If the measure of success for your life is to live a good life by practicing virtuous living, basically if you want to live the good life by being a good person, it's super hard. And the fact is, it's so hard for any human being that you don't even have to be a Christian to be it. You could, like many of the cool kids at the moment, you could just be a stoic. That is the purpose of life for a stoic, to live the good life by practicing virtuous living. Here's another one that I like. If the purpose of life for you, or success in your life for you, is about seeking the pleasure of God and attaining paradise in the hereafter. If the measure of, this is where it gets a little bit complicated because This is sadly how some of our pop Christianity is sold to us. To seek the pleasure of God and to attain paradise in the afterlife. If that seems like a measure of success to you, then I have the beautiful Lakemba news to tell you that you are not a Christian, you are a Muslim. And there's one more that I think is fantastic. If your measure of success, this is a trick question as well, is to keep the law of God and to bring that holiness to earth. If that is a measure of success for you, the measure of success, the purpose of life, then again, as good as all of that is, I can tell you right now, you are in fact not a Christian. You may be practicing Judaism. You're right. Here's the thing, it's hard to spot the fakes, isn't it? Yeah. It's hard to spot the fakes because we are swimming in a world that will take us for a ride at any opportunity it gives us. And sometimes the truth, when it's kind of taken on a weird trajectory, can be perverted into a fake thing, but actually at the core of it, it's full of good things. It's good to seek peace. It's good to seek God. It's good to love God's law. It's good to grow the economy and have a business and do all that stuff. These are good things, but these are not the thing. They are not the reason we exist, and they are not the ways we measure our success. And thank God that Jesus said, not so with you. Not so with you as an invitation to a life that is freer and clearer, and not an easy life, but a good life. A fulfilling life, a life that is just for you. Do you want to know what the measures of success for a Christian are according to Jesus? Yeah, let's do it. Jesus made it pretty easy. I have synthesized, well actually no, I think John Mark Comer has synthesized the Old Testament and New Testament into a way that we can think about the measures of success for a Christian. They're really easy. It's this: to know Jesus, to be with him, to be like him, and to do the things that he did. Amen. Yep. These for us are the measures of success. These for us are the measure of success in our businesses. Like when it comes to money, how are we operating our financial lives in a way that we could know Jesus, that he can be with us in our bank account? Imagine God being present with you in your spending of money. Yeah. What a grace that would be. That we could be like him in our bank account. We could be with him and we could do the things that he did with his money. He had money, he had a whole ministry. In regards to our families that are so important, how can we know Jesus in our families? How can we be like him and be with him and do the things that he would do if he was mum to my kids? The measures of success for us, thank goodness, are actually really easy because practicing them can be kind of difficult. Yeah. It can take self-awareness, it can take a community of people that are helping form the right kind of person on the inside. Yeah. But actually, on paper, in reality, it's actually not that hard. To know Jesus, to be with him, to be like him, and to do the things he did are the measures of success for us.